This is the History of Portugal podcast, an Eat to My Own Beat podcast. New episodes every Friday. Check us out on our Facebook page, the History of Portugal podcast, on YouTube, as well as my website, www.eattomyownbeat.com. Welcome back to episode 121 of the History of Portugal podcast. Portugal in the Reconquista. Portugal's participation in the Reconquista occurred from when the County of Portugal was founded in 868 and continued 381 years until the last cities, still in Muslim control in the Algarve, were captured in 1249. Portugal was created during this prolonged process and largely owes its geographic form from it. The Portuguese Reconquista involved the participation of northern European crusaders passing through Portuguese coasts en route to the Holy Land, such as Englishmen, French, Flemings, Normans, and Germans, most notably the conquest of Lisbon in 1147, but also in 1142, 1154, 1189, 1191, and 1217. Many settled in Portugal at the invitation of the King Alfonso I or his son and successor Sancho I. While the initial stages of the Portuguese Reconquista were marked by the participation of the upper aristocracy, as the frontier was steadily pushed further, such initiative was yielded to minor nobles, town militiamen, and peasant kings willing to go on lengthy campaigns. The final stages of Portuguese military effort in the south were mostly undertaken by the military orders, most notably the Knights of Santiago and the Templars, but also the Order of Calatrava and Hospitallers to a lesser degree. The threat of Muslim raids also prompted the creation of the Portuguese Navy, the oldest in the world still in operation. While the Count of Portugal was a major vassal of Leon at the time of independence, the economy of Portugal was relatively underdeveloped. There was no mint in the country. Capture of spoils and extraction of tribute provided monetary income, but it was largely unreliable. Defensive needs motivated the settlement and economic development of the territory, and this in turn provided the means of further expansion. Religious orders, such as the Cistercians, led to the way of the agricultural development through a system of granges worked by lay brothers who enabled them to maintain agriculture and cattle enterprises of a sophistication and scale previously unheard of in Portugal. The military orders later adopted a similar economies and scale and introduced notably sophisticated methods of production, irrigation, and fortification. As Islam receded, Portuguese cities became steadily more prosperous and larger, with signs of international Portuguese maritime trade appearing in the 13th century. The expansion of Portugal was vital in the legitimization of Alfonso. It was independent of the sovereignty with the papal degree of Manifestus Probatum, acknowledging Alfonso's effort in the reconquest of territory back into Christendom as manifestly proven as his claims to the title of king worthy of recognition. In 711, a Muslim army commanded by Tariq ibn Zahid, belonging to Umayyad Caliphate of Damascus, invaded the Iberian Peninsula, then controlled entirely by the Visigoth kingdom. The Visigoths under their king Roderick were defeated in the Battle of Guadalete, and from a moment the peninsula was quickly captured by Muslim forces, which included Arabs and Berbers, in about 2 years thereafterwards. 11 years later, Pelagus revolted against Muslim occupation in Asturias, and in 722 defeated the Muslim force at the Battle of Covadonga, expelled the Muslim governor Munuza from the region, and found the kingdom of Asturias. The kingdom gradually expanded across the mountainous north of the Iberian Peninsula, capturing Leon and Galicia, among other territories, and it would be under the aegis of the king that 146 later, Christian rule would reach the banks of the Douro River, where the city and region of the Portugal, or now Porto, was located. Thank you for listening to the History of Portugal podcast, a Eat to My Own Beat podcast. New episodes every Friday.
Get more information on the History of Portugal podcast on Facebook, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out www.eattomyownbeat.com for more information on our travels.